Hello to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. My name is Wendy Marshall and I'm going to be with you for the next hour and a half. And this is a two-parter. It's all going to be on valuing yourself. So I'm going to pop up again next Sunday at roughly the same time. But I'm going to give you some things to do in between now and then, and after listening to this seminar. So I'm going to ask you, if you can, to download the Meditation Lounge app. You can get that from Google Play or the iPhone store. And in it, you'll find 9 meditations on valuing yourself. And the plan is, this is the plan, that after this seminar, you'll have 5 meditations you can do this week. And then we'll meet again next Sunday at 2 o'clock. And then you can do the next 4 meditations after that. So it's kind of like a 2-week program, but you're going to have those audio meditations there to support you. Valuing yourself, it's kind of a massive subject. And the way I came about looking at this was a few years ago. I thought I needed to take a good hard look at myself and see to what extent I really did value myself. I've been meditating for quite a few years now, embarrassingly long, a few decades. And I thought it was time to have a good stock. And I suspected that I didn't really value myself much at all, that I'd learned to do some really good stuff from meditation, but there was a lot more that I could do. So I decided to do this for myself. So these meditations that I'm going to share with you are basically things that I've done for myself and worked. The whole subject about valuing yourself, if we really look at ourselves, we probably can see that we might have done things to value ourselves that were kind of external things, that we can, do really good stuff at work or in our hobby or whatever. And we can see the proof of that out there. We might have, files in the computer or remember presentations we gave or things we did at work. And we think, well, that's good. So we think, well, I'm valuable. Maybe we make a nice environment for ourselves at home and all of that looks really lovely. And I look around and I think, oh, this is really nice. And we think we value ourselves that way. And there are lots of ways that we can do stuff out there and we can kind of reflect it back and think that makes us valuable. But the reality of really valuing ourselves is what happens up here. That we have thoughts and feelings that just make us feel really good. And when they make us feel really good, actually they make other people feel comfortable to be around us as well. So valuing yourself, it's really a pretty radical thing, because what it involves is changing all these thought patterns up here. And when you can really change them radically so that they're a lot more loving, they're a lot more compassionate, both to yourself and to others, you start to value who you are. It's not an external thing, it's a totally internal thing. And that's why meditation is one of the best things that we can do to really value ourselves. So what we're going to do with these meditations is we're going to go through a process of looking inside and seeing what changes we need to make, and try to make those changes really valuable, really authentic, really real, so that we ourselves get benefit from those beautiful feelings we're generating. And I think it's a really interesting experiment to see actually how that might change our lives as well. So what essentially we're going to be doing is creating a more generous, kind, compassionate heart and feelings over the next 2 weeks. So it's a bit of an experiment for all of us, and I'm going to be doing it with you. I'm going to be doing these meditations every day with you. And so we can come back next week, and if you've got any questions in between, you can email them and we can have a look at those as well. Okay, so my plan is this week that I'm going to cover the basic higher self meditation, which I'll do in a few minutes, and we'll do that together. And then I'm going to go through I think we'll just have time for about 3 of the meditations that I've got prepared for you to do this week. If we get time for a bit more, we'll do them, but I think we'll probably end up doing about 3. So it's just a thought, really, just a way of kind of checking in that, you know, if I could plug in this computer and plug it into the side of my head and allow it to broadcast all my thoughts and feelings to all of you. And if you similarly could plug in your computer and broadcast all of that to everybody listening here, would you be happy with the sort of things that were going on inside your head? Probably most of us would not. And that gives a fair indication that we need to change some stuff up here. But the first step for doing that is, it's kind of a 2-part step. It involves, first of all, checking with our thoughts, classic mindfulness, just looking at our thoughts, being the kind observer of our thoughts. And then the second part of it is rising above the chatter in our mind into our higher self, so we can kind of feel at peace, that we don't feel caught up in our mind anymore. We can start to feel at peace, and actually ultimately at peace, not just with myself, but with everyone and everything. So it sounds like a bit of a tall order, but actually it's not that difficult to get the hang of. And you're going to get a good chance to get the hang of it this afternoon, because I'm going to do it now, just that simple higher self meditation, those 2 steps. And then before each meditation that we do, I'm going to do it again, because that's always the starting point, is to check in with our mind, basic mindfulness, just observe what's going on in there, and then learn how to rise above your ordinary mind, and then just step inside the peace of the higher self. So let's have a go at that now. So for those of you that are new to Raj Yoga, you might have practiced mindfulness before, you might have done nothing, doesn't matter, that's fine. But I'm going to ask you to keep your eyes open as much as possible during the meditation. If you find them closing and that's more comfortable, no problem. But just have a go at this, because it's a really good technique to be able to bring your meditation out into your normal life. If you can keep your eyes open, it means that when you're out there and something's going on or whatever, you can just for a few moments change those thought patterns. And it makes it easier if you've learned by keeping your eyes open. So have a go. No force, but just have a go. Okay, so first step is to start looking inside your mind. Just turn your attention away from whatever you're gazing at the moment, and start to look inside your mind just to see what thoughts are trundling on. And you might find that when you first look, you don't see anything. It's like, what am I looking at? But if you just keep on gazing at your mind, a bit like a pond, you first look at the surface of a pond. At first, you just see the clouds reflected in it. And you keep on gazing, and you see movement underneath. You see the fish moving around. Meditation's a little bit like that. So you gaze inside your mind. And you might start to discern kind of thought trails. And they're almost emotional traces left behind by thoughts. Might be quite emotive things have happened. Someone said something, or someone didn't reply to something, and it affected you. It leaves a trail behind in your mind. Just see what thought trails are lingering in your mind. Just observe it. I'll give you a few moments of silence to do that. You might see all sorts of stuff in there. You might see that you got upset or angry or annoyed or disheartened or fed up. See if you can observe all those thoughts as a kind presence, a kind observer. You're watching with kindness. In other words, you're not judging yourself. You're just curious and interested, just want to see. Whatever you see, it's like, oh, that's interesting. So we're going to do this, say, another 3 times in the next hour and a half. And as you try it more, you'll see more. You might find yourself judging yourself more. And then remember to be the kind observer, not the critical observer. So that's the first step, gazing into our mind, being the kind observer. And the thing is about just watching our mind is just by watching it, it slows down and it gets slower, and you can see more and understand more, and you get less caught up in the emotion of thoughts the more you just observe. The more kindly observe, the less those emotions in your mind affect you. Now, the second step is to rise above all those thoughts. So if you think of all the thoughts that you've had today already, it's about halfway through the day. Some researchers say that we have between 40 and 60, 70,000 thoughts a day. So, maybe we've had max, we might have reached 30,000, which is quite an achievement. If you could think of all those thoughts are kind of like a cloud filling your mind. They've just flooded in and out, swashing around in there. It's like a cloud filling your mind. So what you want to do is feel that you can rise above that cloud of thought. You just rise right above it. Just try this a few times. Just rise above all those clouds of thoughts. They're chuntering away in your mind. You don't try and stop them. Just rise above. It's a bit like rising above a cloud into the blue of a blue sky. You often find yourself kind of sighing quite deeply when you rise above and feel that feeling of peace for the first time. Have a go. Rise above. Doesn't matter what you've been thinking about, it's all a cloud, just all part of that mush. Rise above it. And when you feel that sensation of being a little bit separate from the chatter of your mind, you've started to enter that realm of the higher self. And you know when you've started to enter that realm of the higher self, because you start to feel at peace. You just feel at peace with everything. You feel at peace with your own thoughts even, you know, you think, oh yeah, I thought that, I thought the other, I did this, I did, you know, it's fine. It's fine. I'm just taking a break from that now. So one more time, rise above cloud of thought. Feel totally at peace. Just taking a break from the buzz and habitual patterns of your thoughts. Okay, so that's the basic technique of experiencing the higher self. First step, look inside your mind, just watch as a kind observer, and then you see all those thoughts that have been ruminating and tossing and turning inside your mind. You just see it as cloud, low cloud, you rise above it. Not complicated, but takes a bit of practice sometimes, and that's fine. Plenty of time to practice this week. So that's the basics. And the first meditation we're going to look at is my beautifully imperfect self. And for me, this was a really, really big thing to realize, because I realized that I kind of only valued myself when I did well at something, which is a bit strange, really, because, you know, life is life. You know, we don't know what's going to happen every day. There's no script. You know, I don't get to think, oh, you know, there's no, you know, divine source that sort of sends me down the things that are going to happen. And then I thought, oh, okay, you know, I'll sort of, this is how I'll react, and I'll do this and I'll do that. And I'll just, actually, I have a day to practice before I get to the real day. I mean, life is not like that. It's live. You know, we're literally making it up as we go along. So how the heck are we going to do everything perfectly? That is not going to be possible. We're going to make mistakes. And in fact, the best way to view our mistakes, the most useful way to view our mistakes, is not to think, oh, God, I made a real hash of that. Oh, you know, I'm always doing that. I'm always doing that. I'm such a failure when it comes to that. Or I'm just such a failure. No, best way to view our mistakes is they're kind of like a trophy cabinet that we're collecting as we're going along. They're like a tailor-made trophy cabinet, and there it is. It's on my wall. It's a trophy cabinet, and each one of those trophies is a life lesson, tailor-made for me. It's just for me, and it's just for me to help me to become a better version of myself. So every single mistake I ever make is valuable for me. It's mine, and it's valuable, and it's in that trophy cabinet. And if I stare into it, if I accept the lesson, then I can become a better version of myself, one that I value more constantly. And when I really started delving inside my mind, you know, it was, I started to see that I kind of want to be loved, and I want to be appreciated for who I am. So I want to value myself for who I am. But what really I was valuing a lot is these external things, you know, the success I made of something, or, you know, doing something well, or saying something well, or making something, or whatever. In other words, I wasn't actually valuing myself. I was valuing my output, my achievements. And if someone just valued you for your achievements, would you feel valued? Would you feel seen? Would you feel loved? You wouldn't. Nobody wants to be just valued for their achievements, but that's what we're kind of doing to ourselves all the time. And it's a thought pattern, a way of being we need to change if we want to really value ourselves. And we need to make a shift to actually valuing what's here in my heart, and not just valuing what's going on in my heart, but actually make it more and more and more beautiful, so that I understand those beautiful thoughts inside of myself, those loving and kind, compassionate thoughts that I can generate at will. That's the real me. That's who I am. That's the stuff that actually lives in the higher self. And then when I make a mistake, I can view it as a glitch. It's a glitch. I put it in my trophy cabinet. I'm going to stare into that later, learn a bit of stuff from it. That's going to be really helpful for me. But I know that the real me inside is that beautiful self. And then if I do make a mistake, maybe I hurt someone, maybe I upset someone, or I just dwell on something, get the wrong end of the stick, I know I can come back to this kind, loving self, to this higher nature. I can stay close to that higher nature and let that guide me, and see those mistakes for what they are, to be put in my trophy cabinet and learn from them, my individually tailored, beautiful lessons that I'm not going to ignore or pretend didn't happen because they make me feel ashamed. They're mine, and they're mine alone. And they're beautiful things for me to learn from. But I only do that when I know that I've actually got a beautiful mind inside. So what we're going to do in this meditation is we're going to explore all the love and loveliness that actually is inside of my heart. And we're going to let it flow really freely and experience what that feels like, so that I know that that is the real me. That's my natural nature. So let's have a go at exploring my beautiful, imperfect self. So I'm going to go back to these 2 steps of higher self meditation. That's step 1, which is to think of my mind like that pond. And we're just going to gaze into it, see what emotionally charged thought trails we can see again. And we're just going to watch them kindly, curiously, with fascination. Just watch them. Let's do that for the next few moments of silence. You can feel your thoughts start to slow down again, which is a very nice feeling in itself. And that's the basics of mindfulness, but we're going to go one step further than that and see all those thoughts, thousands of them, tens of thousands of them, that have been whizzing about, some of them lingering inside my mind. It's all like a low cloud just filling my conscious mind. And I've been stuck in all of that. And it's not entirely comfortable. So seeing all of that as cloud in my mind, cloud of thoughts, I rise above those thoughts. Just rise above. And as you rise above, you might start to feel this sense of being at peace. It's delicious. Peace is delicious. That sensation of just rising above the chattering mind and being at peace. Now let's move on to the theme, my beautifully imperfect self. Because I want to be in a mind that's like someone I want to be with. Something that emanates the beauty of a warm and generous heart. Someone whose invisible wealth, the inner life of the heart and mind, I respect and I want to be around. Who values kindness over any marker of outward success, over looking good in other people's eyes. As much as possible, I want to value these invisible things. And I want to use them as much as I can in my life and recognize that, this is who I am. It's not the stuff that I do, the stuff that I own, the plans I make. It's these things, these thoughts, and the most beautiful thoughts that I can create. This is from the core of who I am. This is who I am. And my kindness, my love, my compassion, my tenacity. And I want to keep on growing that wealth. And I want to see my mistakes as being really, really valuable things for me to stare into and learn from and get better through. And when I see my mistakes like that, they don't send me crashing down anymore. And they don't define us. Because I just see myself as a good person with kindness and compassion. But I've got stuff to learn because I'm always going to get something wrong in some way or another. So I'm always going to keep on growing, always. And what that means is that we can be beautiful and imperfect. Beautiful and imperfect. I'm not going to wait until I'm perfect to see myself as beautiful and value myself. So there's loads of challenges ahead. Guaranteed this week, things are going to come up. We're not going to deal with everything perfectly. But as we move forward, as we value this invisible core inside of myself and make it more and more loving and kind and beautiful, we'll grow. And we'll grow in kindness. And we'll feel that our heart is beautiful and we'll love ourselves for that. So what we're going to do for the next few moments, the core of this meditation is we're going to expand our heart and allow it to open and feel that love flowing out of it. So we really know that our heart is full of love and is beautiful. So right now, I want you to try and feel and tune in to the kindness in your heart. So ask yourself, how big would you like your loving heart to be? How big would you really like it to be? Would you like it to be as big as your outstretched arms? Would you like it to be as big as a tree? Would you like it to be as big as a big wide ocean? You choose. How big would you like your love to be? As big as your outstretched arms, as big as a tree, or as big as a wide, vast ocean? And the next few moments, I want you to feel the love flowing out of your heart to be as big and as wide and as expansive as that. I want you to feel that love to be living and powerful and radiating out of you, reaching out to everyone you know and everyone you are yet to know. To all those people out there that need a little bit, a little pulse of love fluttering through their window to lift their spirits, create hope. So for the next few moments of silence, feel that love inside to be as big as you want it to be. And just sit with that feeling. Don't worry if your mind drifts off a little bit, wanders away. See a bird out of your window or start thinking about something. Don't worry, just bring it back to focusing on the kindness in your heart and allowing it to flow out. Be as big as you want, big as a tree, big as your outstretched arms, big as an ocean, whatever you want it to feel as big as. You feel it radiating out of you, reaching everyone you know, everyone you are yet to know, people you may never meet. But they need to feel there's love and kindness in the world, especially at the moment. And breathe deeply into that feeling. Don't force it, just let it happen. Your mind drifts off, just bring it back to this feeling of love flowing out of my heart. Just open your heart up. And let it flow. It's a lovely feeling. It's not love for anyone in particular. It's just love flowing and wanting it to reach out and be there for anyone who needs to feel there's love and kindness in the world right now. So these beautiful and invisible feelings inside of me that I've created. This is who I really am. And don't worry if it wasn't a big, overwhelming, powerful experience for you, because you've got this meditation on the Meditation Lounge app. You can listen to it during the week. And each time you listen to it, you'll feel your heart just open up that little bit more, just get that little bit bigger. And you'll start to feel, you know what? This is who I am. This feels like me. The other stuff, all these worries and fears, sort of doesn't feel like me anymore. Like stuff I've picked up. And I've just carried on playing out, just riding on thought patterns I've picked up from my family or culture. This stuff from my heart that flows out in a very pure way. This feels like me. These beautiful and invisible aspects of myself. And I don't need recognition for it. That's also the beautiful thing about this. And it's better. I just send it out to people that I need it, or I'm standing in front of someone or being with someone. I just send them this big, wide, open-hearted feelings of love, for them to be the best they can be, for them, for their life to go well. And I don't need any recognition. Nobody needs to know I'm doing this. And it's better if they don't. There's no fanfare. There's no visible sign of it. It's just there in my heart, the invisible me. The invisible me that I can give silent, wide, big love out. And that's the real me. So all of these meditations, they're kind of a lifetime's practice. They are for me anyway. Each time I do them, I feel really good about myself. I feel the best of myself is present. And because we've gone beyond the habitual thought patterns that are constantly chuntering on in our mind, we've literally gone beyond ourselves. We've gone into our higher self. And we're learning how to leave all those habitual thought patterns behind and step inside my higher self and allow new thought patterns based on the deepest part of me, the most beautiful part of me. Allow those thought patterns to start to get energized and to start to take root inside my mind. And then they become there for me when I need them. And I'll find myself thinking, I don't want to worry anymore. I don't want to think that thought anymore. I want to go back to feeling this big, wide, open-hearted love. That feels much better. And the amazing thing is that when we spend more time inside the higher self, which is peace, but it's also this big, wide, open-hearted love, our mind kind of steadies down and it gets more creative. It gets better at solving problems because, silence and peace and love is where you go to get your best solutions, your best ideas. They're not full of anxiety and wanting to appear great in front of the world and fear of failure. They're not full of that. They're full of pure stuff. So they become higher quality. So the more I practice creating these amazingly beautiful thoughts inside my mind starts to work differently. But it has to be a practice. I have to keep going back to this practice, going beyond my mind and then exploring these new beautiful thoughts so that they are the ones that become dominant. So, okay, that was meditation 1, the first one, my beautifully imperfect self. So remember, you're going to make loads of mistakes this week. It's no big deal. It's going to be more trophies to go in my beautiful mistake cabinet, which are multicolored and fascinating and faceted. and I can take them off the shelf and stare into them, and they've got those beautiful tailor-made lessons for me to become a better version of who I am. So they don't have to bring me kind of crashing down, and just stare into them, learn what I need to learn, put them back on the shelf, leave them there. Okay, so number two we're going to do today is an interesting one. I find this really interesting. I don't know whether you guys will as well. And again, this came from looking inside my mind and seeing that other people's disapproval of me can really bring my self-esteem crashing down. It can really make me feel awful if I get caught up in it. And when we really look inside, we see that over a lifetime, we might have collected a massive number of people's disapproval. And I start to believe them, that it's true. So I've got to also find an antidote to those messages that have become lodged inside of me, so that I can build up an immunity to when that kind of disapproval starts coming towards me again in the future. And it will. I mean, we're all quite critical, disapproving creatures, human beings. We are at the moment anyway. I have hope that we'll improve on that. But right now, the reality is we think a lot about other people, and we criticize them, and we disapprove of them, and they do that towards us, and all of that interaction and pinging and back and forth of thought energy, it's very destructive for us, and it's very destructive for other people. But the most important thing to get immunity to other people's disapproval is to realize that other people's disapproval is actually nothing to do with me. Well, not much. There might be a little bit, and we'll explore that, because that could be a little bit of a gift for me if there's maybe a message in that I need to listen to. But generally, heavy duty disapproval that sort of hits me and makes me feel awful, that's not to do with me. That's someone else's negative habit. And I've kind of just got in the way of it. It's their negative habit. It's their negative thought patterns that they have. And they're generating them about me. They're going to generate them about lots of other people, not just me. So we're going to explore in this meditation how to do, it's kind of 3 steps actually, the 3 steps of understanding that it's nothing to do with me, taking out the message that could be useful for me, might not be, might just be all them, but there might be a little nugget of a message that I should extract and take out and see as a gift. And then how I can actually let go of all those messages that have got lodged inside of me from the past and start to be free. So there's 3 parts to the meditation. And the reality is, if we think about it, from when we've been very little, we've probably rarely been encouraged by everybody just to be ourselves and to feel good about it. Very few people may have done that for us. Most of the world may have done the opposite, sort of, criticizing me in some way, because it's a funny habit we've all got into. It's a terrible habit, actually, and it's kind of damaging all of us and damaging our relationships. So no point waiting for other people to stop doing it, because probably they won't. Best thing to do is for me to sort this out, to start to feel free of other people's disapproval. And in the process, we kind of start to be a bit less disapproving of others. That's a little bit of a spin-off too. So let's have a go. Let's have a go at that. And first, we're going to do what we're going to do at the start of each the meditation. We've done it twice already. This will be the 3rd time. We're going to do this 2-step process. And you can never do it enough. I never feel I can do it enough. A meditator who's been meditating for 50 years will say they can never do it enough, because it's a bit like doing reps in the gym. You find one that is important for your core strength. You have to do that every day. It's the same with this higher self meditation, learning how to observe our mind and then go beyond it into that place and be at peace. So let's go through that process again. You gaze into your mind, see it like a pond. We're trying to discern those emotionally laden thought trails that whiz about, sometimes very fast, other times they kind of really linger and sit there in our mind. Let's see if we've had any of those today or maybe the last couple of days. Let's be curious and look inside our mind and see. And then you feel yourself sort of settling into the groove of being the kind observer. You're looking kindly, almost a little bit amused really about what's happening inside your mind. It's like, have I been thinking that? Oh well, never mind. Probably thought that a lot. It's interesting though, isn't it? You think to yourself, that's why I feel like that, because I've been thinking like this. And you find your thoughts slowing down. And you're not caught up in the emotion of them anymore. You just, when you're the observer, you're not caught up. And then we think of this continual stream of thoughts that have been flooding in and circulating inside our mind as like a low cloud. This chuntering, chattering thoughts droning on all day, really. Just like low cloud, filling my mind, fog, like fog filling my mind. And I rise above it. Let's do that again. Rise above that fog of thought. We don't try and stop them. Just leave them down there. I'm going up here to be at peace in my higher self. Just be at peace. You know, when you feel that sense of peace, that separation, that's when you're in your higher self. Because the higher self, it is the peaceful self. It's its main quality. It's a peace with everything and everyone, because it's beyond that habitual thinking mind. And it feels so good. Okay, so let's move into the theme of this meditation, being free from other people's disapproval. So this requires us to think of someone that you feel a bit of disapproval from. And just see if you can just call a person like that to mind, because we're going to use that as a bit of material. So we need to think of someone. Have you got someone? Okay, just kind of hold them there. Just want to reevaluate that disapproval that is coming off them towards me. It's thoughts, because thoughts are invisible, but they don't just stay inside my head. They don't stay inside other people's head. It's very, very powerful energy. And you think a thought about someone and it leaves you and it reaches them, especially if you're near to them, sometimes when you're not. Now, if they're critical of you in any way, they're going to be critical of others. That's a habit that they have. And it actually makes them miserable. It'll make them feel miserable all day long if they're doing that. It'll make them feel more miserable than the people that they're actually thinking those thoughts about. And people will never feel comfortable around them. So it's a curse for them, really. So if I feel that disapproval coming off that person, that's not about me. That's their habit. I've got to get really, really clear. I've got to get really clear on that. So I'm just going to pause there, a few moments of silence. And I'd like you to just kind of see that disapproval in a different way. It's not wholly about you. In fact, it's probably a tiny amount about you, and we'll deal with that next. It's mostly about them. So that energy of disapproval coming off that person towards me, that's their habit that goes on, thought pattern inside their mind. It's making them feel miserable. Okay. See if you can see it in that way. And perceive that person as being trapped by those disapproving thoughts that they're probably thinking most of the day. It's making them really miserable. You end up kind of feeling for them, don't you? Now, when they direct that disapproval towards me, it's painful. It's a painful energy if I accept it. So we have to learn to develop immunity to it. And we've got two choices. You know, when that energy comes towards us, we can keep going over it in our head and thinking about it and grumbling about them and thinking how awful it is. They make me feel like this, and they said that, and he said this, that, and the other, and I didn't deserve that. Yeah, it's kind of an inner commentary that it amplifies the pain, really, and it makes me feel agitated and churned up, as agitated and churned up as they are, probably. So what they've been thinking and feeling in their mind, it's kind of like it's infected me now. But we can choose to do something radical and extraordinary when this happens. We can separate out that stuff they're sending towards me and change that, and the good stuff that I need to look at. So first, how to develop a kind of protection and immunity to that negativity they're sending towards me. And again, it's reiterating, it's really, really reiterating and getting this really clear in my mind that unpleasant energy coming towards me, it is real, but it's nothing to do with me. They've made it personal, but it's not personal. It's their habit of putting other people down, and I've just gotten in the way. So in order to stop feeling the pain of that, I need to be swift. It needs to be my first response. I need to just keep this phrase in my mind, a stock phrase in my mind when I feel it. Their disapproval is nothing to do with me. They're expressing thoughts inside my head that are unpleasant. So that disapproval is nothing to do with me. They're expressing thoughts inside their head that are unpleasant. It's nothing to do with me. So I'd like you to do that now. You think of that person that you call to mind. I'm going to do a practice run. You think of that disapproval energy they can sometimes shoot towards you. And in the next few minutes, I want you to speak to your own mind in a really peaceful and kind way. Say to your mind, their disapproval is nothing to do with me. They're just expressing thoughts inside their own mind that are unpleasant. Say this to yourself now about that person. That disapproval is nothing to do with me. It's their thought patterns. It's making them feel miserable. I can be at peace with them. I can be totally at peace with them. I'm not at war at them. I'm not scrapping silently with them, arguing with them. I just want to be at peace with them. I can't change the contents of their mind. No. They're going to think what they're going to think, and it's making them miserable. I'm not going to let it make me miserable. I'm at peace with them. Say that to that person. I'm at peace with you. Say it in your mind. I'm at peace with you. It's okay. So that's the first part of this very, very simple technique. You realize that person's thought patterns are their own. Their disapproval has nothing to do with me. I'm at peace with you. And that has to be your first response when you feel it. So it doesn't get lodged inside my mind and I don't start ruminating on it. But there could be a little bit of a positive in this for me. There could be. And I won't know unless I look. So I need to do a little bit of that staring into my mind business to see if there's any gift for me in this situation. Just a quick check to see if there's something I can learn, something that they are annoyed or fed up with me about, just a little something maybe, that's something I could put right. And I don't want to collect any more negative messages about myself. I don't want to think, oh God, I am like that. This is really awful. I'm horrible. I just want to use that as a springboard to a better version of myself. So let's do a bit of a scan just for a few moments, because we're used to doing this now. If you practice mindfulness, this is easy peasy for you. If it's new to you, we've done it a few times. And something that we're going to get used to in the weeks ahead. So it's just a quick scan and think of something they're disapproving of me. Is there anything in there that I can use to become a better version of myself? Anything, tiny little thing maybe. Just have a quick scan. Well, I spotted something. I don't know about you, but I saw a little nugget and thought, yeah, definitely, I could improve that. It doesn't take away the fact that they have a disapproval habit that they're firing off towards me. That's nothing to do with me, and I can be at peace with them. I'm not going to take that into my heart. But there's a little something there. I'll put that in my trophy cabinet, have a quiet cup of tea later, have a think about it and think, yeah, maybe I can improve that. Yeah, I feel comfortable about that. So the third bit of this meditation is about the messages from the past that can get lodged inside my mind. And we need to learn to let go of them because, you know, there can be a lot. We have a very, very critical world. People are constantly disapproving of each other for all sorts of different reasons. You know, sometimes people disapprove of others when they do good stuff because they're a bit jealous or resentful, or because they think they should be the one writing everybody's script. They should be the one that everybody should listen to, and they want everyone to be like them, which is never going to happen. So we can have collected a lot of messages from being really quite little. We could have had very loving parents, or we could have had, you know, a parent or an auntie or an uncle that was, you could feel, you felt put down when you were around them. And we kind of collect that inside ourselves and use it almost as proof that we're this horrible person, when actually it's just someone else's message. So how do we let go of them? Well, here's how. We wish every single person who's disapproved of us in the past ever, we wish for them to be free of those unpleasant feelings and be happy. We wish them to be totally free. I just wish you to be free for yourself, not for me, for you. I wish you to be free, to be happy. These are very, very healing thoughts, and it's like they release all those messages from my mind that I've collected as proof that nobody likes me, or I'm boring, or I'm horrible. And every time we do this, every time we wish those people well and wish them to be free of that disapproving habit and be happy, that helps a higher form of love grow in our heart. And whenever a higher form of love grows in our heart, it heals, and it helps release other things, pain that I've taken. So a really powerful thing that we can do to generate that spiritual love is seeing to the heart of another person, seeing beyond all of that negativity that I might have been focusing on, that they can be quite disapproving and critical and make me feel awful when I'm around them. Just see beyond all of that to the essence of who they are. Because everybody really does want to be free of all this sorrow and unhappiness, which is just playing out as thought patterns and affecting them. Everyone wants to be free of that. Everyone wants to have enough love inside to be compassionate, because that makes you happy. That makes you wiser, actually makes you smarter. Everyone wants to feel they can be kind to others. So right now in this moment, let's wish all those people that have generated negative messages about us. Let's wish for all good things in their life, for them to be free of all this disapproval and be happy. The next few moments of silence, you can think of all of those people as a sort of crowd over there. And I wish for all of them to be happy. I wish them all to be happy and free. Say this to your mind. Really own it and mean it. I wish for all of those people that have given me negative messages, I wish them to be free of all that negativity and be happy. That feels really good when you do it. And here's another wish for them. I wish them to have loads of happiness and kindness and compassion in their heart to give to others. I wish for them to have so much kindness and compassion in their heart to give to others, because that will make them happy. I wish that for them. And you really allow that thought to fill your heart and feel it really genuinely, that you wish for them to be free, and you wish for them to have so much kindness and compassion in their heart that they can give to others. It's like releasing them. You're releasing that person. You're releasing the pain out of your heart, and you're releasing that entanglement with that other person. You're entangled with your thoughts with them. You release them. It's good for me, it's good for them. So 3 parts to that meditation, and you'll have that audio meditation with these 3 parts in it up on Meditation Lounge. It will start with that higher self meditation, and it will go on to the theme. So you can practice it during this week. You don't have to just practice it once, though I'd recommend you do it at least once. You can practice a few times until you really feel that you've got this antidote to other people's disapproval of you. You've got the antidote to it. You can extract any little nuggets that are useful to you, and then you can release all those messages out of your heart where you've absorbed other people's disapproval. In a way, this is a lifelong practice, but it's great just to start it. It feels really, really good. Because this is a very freeing meditation. It really is. And the point of all these meditations is to come inside my own power, to no longer try to fit in with disapproving people in my life, to get to the point where if others disapprove of me, it doesn't matter, because I don't need to play small anymore. I feel my heart is big, and it's open, and it's forgiving, and I'm not taking on board their disapproval. I'm stepping inside my own power. I'm not living to get approval or avoid disapproval from anyone. So that's the end of that particular meditation, meditation number 2. It's actually, I think, on Meditation Lounge, it's actually number 4, just to confuse everybody, but I thought this worked very well for this session, this 1.5 hour session, to do that as number 2. Okay. So we're going to go on to the next meditation. And this one, this one's a very interesting one. And this one is about drinking in love and kindness, my own love and kindness. And it's something you can find in meditations on self-compassion. But there's been some really, really interesting research done on actual self-compassion. And what was discovered is that when someone else gives you love and kindness, say you've had a bad day, you ring someone up, or you go and visit a friend, and you feel a bit lousy, or someone says something, and you tell them all about this, and they're like, oh, they're always doing that person. Don't take it on board, chicken. You're a really good person. You wouldn't have done that. And if you did, you wouldn't have done it very much. And as you feel their love and compassion coming towards you, you get this kind of warm glow in your heart. And it lifts you out of that low that you've sunk into as you've been ruminating or maybe something that's gone wrong or something that someone said. So you get that warm glow. But when researchers looked at when people start practicing love and compassion for themselves and start saying these things to themselves internally, they discovered we don't get that warm glow feeling. And that's not what people self-report. It doesn't have the same impact on us unless we do one extra simple thing. So first of all, we've got to get used to speaking to ourselves with love and kindness. And for those of us that have been very harsh on ourselves throughout our life, and basically I could enter an Olympic event for this. So for those of us that are really good at being really harsh on ourselves, we've got to learn to actually start speaking kindly to ourselves. It's no good just saying kind things in a kind of, corrosive, harsh voice. You've got to learn to say it and mean it lovingly and kindly towards yourself. So just to do that can be quite radical. But there's another step. Excuse me. Another step that we have to learn. And that is we have to accept the love that we're giving ourselves. We have to relax into it, really absorb it. And when we do that, we get this warm glow. So we're going to practice both sides of that, speaking to ourselves kindly. Again, the audio is on Meditation Lounge. You can listen to it. You can listen to it in the morning. You can listen to it as you're falling asleep at night. You can practice it during the day so you get the hang of it. You can practice speaking to yourself lovingly, but you're also going to practice accepting it, absorbing it, relaxing right into it like a warm bath. Because we have got a lot of love and kindness in our heart, and we've been experiencing that in these meditations so far. It doesn't matter to what degree you've experienced it, because every time you practice it, it just gets bigger and more expansive and more delicious to feel. So we find out we've got loads of love inside our heart. We've got to use that love on ourselves as well. That is so crucial. Because the reality is, and that's why it's quite interesting to do this meditation after the disapproval one, being free of other people's disapproval, that we can have learned to be harsh and unloving to ourselves because of the disapproval we felt from other people. We've kind of picked it up and internalized it. So we have to change that. So again, this will be the fourth time, last time in this session. We're just going to go through these 2 steps. Kind observer, and then rising into the peace of the higher self. So again, let's gaze into our mind. Whatever you notice, just let it be. You're the kind observer. You're just watching. You're just watching and being interested and curious in what you see. And then we think of all those thoughts that have been sloshing around inside today and every other day of our life. It's like a low cloud filling our mind, a fog. And we just rise above it. Rise above that fog of our chattering mind. Just rise above it completely. We're not watching it now, we're not observing it now, we've just risen, we've left it all down there, we rise above it into the peace of the higher self. It's really delicious when we feel that peace. Just a fleeting moment is so delicious. So now we're going to move on and practice drinking in love and kindness from ourselves. So that love that we've been exploring in these meditations, and notice that love is being used a lot here. The loving thoughts, kind thoughts, big, expansive thoughts. Kind and compassionate thoughts are things that energize us and make us feel good and bring us home to our higher self, and it's the real us. So that love, that love and peace is at the core of us. Any love I've shown to others ever, and any love I've felt today emanating out of me towards others, we can also pour that onto ourselves. Now, I want to give you a few phrases just to try out before we kind of go freestyle, if you like. Just want you to try out a few. I'll read out maybe 3, and you can pick one and just try speaking to your mind with that thought, saying that thing to yourself for a few moments of silence. Every time you say it, I want you to say it more lovingly, more kindly. You say it to yourself. Could be, no one is perfect, but I'm learning loads and I'm doing the best I can. I'm doing just fine. Learning loads. I'm doing just fine. Try that one out. No one's perfect. I'm learning loads. I'm doing okay, actually. Another one could be, I've actually got quite a big heart and I care a lot. I do. I really care a lot. I can feel that. Yeah, I've got a big heart and I care a lot. Say that to yourself. A lot of love, kindness. You just say it inside your mind. Don't have to say it externally. It's a thought that we're creating in our mind, silently in a way. Another one could be, I've got so much to give, so much I feel inside I want to give. I've got so much I want to give. Okay, so tried out some thoughts I've suggested. Now I want you to think, what's the kindest, most encouraging thing that your loving self, that higher self, that peaceful self wants to say to you right now? And I want you to say that. Sorry. I want you to say that in the next few moments to yourself inwardly in the kindest voice you can muster. So what's the kindest thing your loving heart, that loving part of you, that peaceful self wants to say to you? Say it as kindly as you can in the next few moments. Okay, so you've got that thing that you really want to say to yourself. You said it really, really kindly. You might notice there's a little bit of resistance. Yes, but I'm not, maybe I don't deserve all this kindness because I'm not lovely all the time, and I can be a bit horrible to people, and I can be snappy and impatient, and you get that little bit of resistance inside to that kindness, and that's quite normal, especially when we first do this. It's because we find it a lot easier to be compassionate to other people, especially people that we love and care about, We find it easier to do that for others than we do for ourselves, because we find it really hard to accept our own kindness. So now we're going to have a go at saying that phrase again. This time you're going to mean it more. You're going to say it really kindly. But this time you're going to pause and then you're going to accept it. You're going to really relax into it and open yourself up to that kind thing that your loving self wants to say to you. You're going to receive it, totally relax into it. So let's go back into that peaceful place above our mind that's at peace with everyone and everything. And recognize that, sometimes we all feel a bit unloved and unappreciated and not valued. But this is our moment to start saying something really kind to ourselves. The thing we most need to hear, to feel valued and accepted. And we say it in a really, really kind way. Do that again now. And now say it again and really, really accept it. Be totally open, absorb it, like the warmth of the sun streaming down on you. Say it again. And really absorb it. Say again to yourself. Might be something different, might be evolving on. I really accept it. Can you feel the difference between rejecting it and opening up your heart and relaxing into it and totally, totally accepting it? And when we do that, we can feel that we have a deep need to speak to ourselves really kindly and lovingly like this. It's a very deep need, and we need to fulfill that need towards ourselves every single day. To find kind things that we need to hear from ourselves every single day and say them in a tea break or a moment, a walk, and accept it. Relax into it. So just one more time. I'm going to give you the chance to do this one more time. Really deeply. Say something else that a part of me wants to hear because it doesn't feel valued. And now accept it really deeply. So it's important to get this part of us speaking to ourselves, and especially to the parts of us that feel a bit unloved and undervalued, that we need to get into the habit of knowing what I need to say to myself. And all I have to do is ask that question. What do I need to say to myself right now? To say to that unloved and unvalued part of myself. And I say it and I relax into it and I absorb it. so that you can start to hear your higher self speaking to you loud and clear. It becomes really distinct. And you know it's something you can turn to. You know it's there for you 24/7. In the middle of the night, you're having a dark night of the soul, you know you can go to that higher self and you can let it speak kindly to you. This is really important, to get this inner voice speaking again to you, absorbing it and accepting it. And so it's crystal clear and you can trust it and you know it's always there for you. And every time you do this, it will release feel-good chemicals in your body, so you'll start to feel more relaxed. You'll start to feel relaxed mentally and physically, because that inner unkind voice gets switched off every time you speak to yourself lovingly and kindly. So it's very simple. This is just 2 parts. Learn to speak in a kind voice, kinder and kinder. Learn to ask yourself what kindness you need to hear from yourself today, and then you learn to accept it and relax into it. Really simple stuff, but it's so powerful. I find it so powerful, and I really hope that you're going to find this powerful, not just now when you've been kind of going along with this live, but during the week. I really encourage you to listen to the first 5 meditations this week. Go right from 1, my beautiful imperfect self, to the invisibles. Go through 1 to 5 this week. Try and do 1 each day, preferably a couple of times a day. They only take 10 minutes. If you're finding it difficult to fall asleep at night, plug in your headphones on your phone, listen to it then. There's also some a couple of sleep meditations up on Meditation Lounge, so you might find those helpful as well. But in particular, try one of these meditations out. So it's a kind of theme for the day. And then when you're sitting there having a cup of tea, you can call to mind that meditation, either plug it in and play it, or just go over the thoughts. Because I know, many of us are experiencing this lockdown in a really different way. Some of us are completely on our own, and that can be painful, not having the normal contact that we have and the normal interactions that we have. Or we can be in a house that's absolutely overflowing with kids and people, and I'm just getting no space. Either way, these meditations are an amazing antidote to both, because they help to connect us to our higher self, to that peace and silence. And in that peace and silence, we end up feeling like we're connected to everybody and everyone and the whole universe. It's such a beautiful feeling when we really learn to open up our heart and start generating these highest beautiful thoughts. It creates good feelings inside ourselves. And we might feel when all that lovely kindness is flowing, we want to pick up the phone to someone or send a kind message to someone, and we feel our interactions go on to a different level and they become much more satisfying. But if we can't find any peace because the house is just jumping with people and radio and television on or whatever, then maybe we can go on the balcony or step outside and drink a cup of tea and plug the headphones in and really get that inner silence. Because once you get that inner silence, all those distractions out there, they don't seem as painful and intrusive and draining. So I really hope that you can find time to practice these meditations this week. I'm going to pop up again, same place, this channel, same time on Sunday, 2:00 next week. We're going to go through the next 4 for the meditations for week 2. I've really, really enjoyed. I can't see any of you. It's not that kind of Zoom. I can't see anyone, but I can feel you all there. And it might sound like a crazy thing to say, but it just feels like you've been really good company, and you've helped me to access these higher parts of myself by going along with all of this. So thank you so much for tuning in. I've really, really enjoyed the opportunity to share these things with you from my heart. And I really look forward to seeing you next week. What's going to pop up on the screen now is an email address that hopefully it might do. Here it is. There you go. Here's an email address. if you've got any questions from this session or any of the meditations that you start practicing during the week and you want to wing those across to me, if you send to this email address, gchinquiries@uk.brahmakumaris, bit of a funny word, but there it is on screen, brahmakumaris.org, and just put in the title Value Yourself. They'll forward those to me and I'll have them in front of me and I'll see if I can go through them for next week. So I hope you start to feel that you've got a more beautiful mind, that your heart opens up, it's got more love in it for others. And because you feel that love inside and you've got these new techniques for creating more beautiful thoughts, you start to like being in your own mind. You start to value just being in your own mind and knowing the beauty of what's in your heart. We don't have to be perfect. The week's going to have loads of mistakes. Doesn't matter. We can come home to our higher self and we can start to feel that we are a really, really beautiful person. Always room for improvement. I can be more beautiful, definitely. But that higher self within me is really, really beautiful. And it's the real me. So have a great week. See you next week.